New Beginning proudly presents the ethos of Black Families First, a Black History Weekender annual celebration,
which is comprised of our kings, queens, scholars, speakers and global families within the Black community to embrace the DLA Rites of Passage International Exchange Programme for youths aged between 15 and 21 years old.
This is in honor of the late, great, rest in power Dr. Llaila Afrika. The online fundraising event will be held on the 15th and the 16th of August this year. So please, give what you can to invest in our youth.
The two-day event will also be broadcasted via Black Eyes TV 7 on Facebook as well as YouTube. Black Power starts with your melanin, uniting the Black family first.
With no feeling of control, as we wonder what it is and we wonder what it was and we wonder where we'll go.
Now I'm feeling really dumb.
Listen, do me a favor. Give your camera a wipe. You've got the sticky part. That's it. That's it. So get you clear.
Hold on. I've got some Obiaka. Do you see where the spray is? Hold on. Just let me see if I've got my camera. The camera should be on from my. No, it's not on that. Right. It's a little spray. Sorry, brother. After all of that.
That's all right. Listen, people, you know the routine. Hit the like button if you haven't done already. You know why we're here for the Dr. Llaila Afrika International Rites of Passage International Exchange. That's the purpose of this weekend. So if you haven't donated, go ahead and show your support and donate. If you are coming to Black Eyes TV for the first time, please go and subscribe, like the video, share the link out so other people can benefit from some of these brothers and sisters' time, energy, and due diligence in the study areas of history. Yeah, it's all to edify us as a people and to help us build as a nation. So please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. You know the routine. Yeah, that's all nice and clear, crystal. That's all. See the smile, see the muscles. It's that
Screen
time.
Share.
Right, so
screen
I
share.
believe we've got until about about 3:30 now till the next
45 minutes.
Yeah, about that.
Okay, let me just there's something to ignore. I'm going to go to screen share. Can that be seen now? My entire screen.
It hasn't come up yet. You haven't hasn't shared the screen yet.
Say again?
It hasn't shared the screen.
Cancel that. Screen sharing was cancelled. Make sure you got the share on the modal. Okay. So I go here, screen share, the base.
And then you got either the Chrome or the applications.
Screen sharing, two monitors, screen sharing, go computer. Don't show these tips. Screen share, your entire screen application. Well, that's not. Is it not come up again?
I've seen nothing. Yeah, because you haven't accepted any of them.
You've got to highlight the window that you want to screen share.
Highlight the window that I want. So highlight.
No, you go to the bottom, you press screen share, then it will have either Chrome which is on the which is your website or the application that you've opened up on your desktop, and then you choose what you want.
Sorry, that's not called. All I can see, it says screen share tips.
Yeah, so you've got mute, start camera, camera and mic, and screen share.
So mute, stop camera, camera mic, screen share. Yes.
Yeah, click on the screen share.
Boom. Yes.
And then you'll have a square box come up.
Yeah.
And then go to applications.
Applications, is that at the top of the screen? Nothing showing it doesn't say application. It says some screen share audio, checkbox, follow these steps to follow screen share. No, that's a screen share. No. Let me listen. Sorry, go on.
Let me do this. I'm gonna call you on a video call and show me your screen. Richie, entertain them while we're doing this quickly. Rich.
Right. Yeah, I'm here. Let me just see. Screen share. Mine.
No, you're saying the people. I'm doing it. Don't worry.
So this is coming into my phone, not into my.
Yeah. So I need to answer the phone and let me see your screen.
Okay. Gotcha. So at the bottom here.
Yeah. Screen share. Yeah, you've got two boxes. Press application.
Which is the two boxes?
In that box where it's got the blue bar, you got application or you got application or Chrome.
Tell me again where.
Application or Chrome.
I can't see that. I can't see it.
Hold on. Stop. Close. Make your screen smaller. The StreamYard screen smaller. Okay, so bring it back up.
Yeah.
Go back to screen share, cancel that, and start again.
Right.
Screen share. Screen share on the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Then in that box, it should have entry screen, application windows, or Chrome tab.
What, in here?
Yeah.
There's nothing saying that. It says screen sharing with easiest. Screen sharing works best on a good computer. Some screens, some about the sound.
Oh, your sound. Are you on mute?
Yeah. No.
So click on the blue bar.
Right.
Yeah. So now see that screen you got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to application windows.
Right.
And then which one is the one that you want?
I want to use the black I see this one.
Yeah. So then hit that.
Share. Okay.
See there?
You can see that now.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Okay, so if I start the PowerPoint off. PowerPoint.
End the call.
I start normal.
Yeah, we can see it.
Slideshow. Play from start. You can see this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm hoping everybody can. No doubt you'll have something going. I'm so sorry about that. I'm going to move very quickly. This is a presentation I did in Rotterdam and Amsterdam back in December on the alchemic structure. I'm going to show you parts of it. I'm very sorry today. It's been a very interesting, it's a family event. I've had some family kind of dramas and traumas from Friday, and then I found out that my godson is close to death. He had an accident this morning around 2 a.m. So there's been a distraction. We've been doing the family thing to try and support my very good friend and colleague with what he's going through. So please forgive me if the little bits of distraction, but this is the presentation I've chosen to do. An introduction to this, I'm going to give you a background and intention, a personal and then a professional orientation on this. A lot of the work I do, history is vital, is central to it. I try to pull a different kind of approach, though, one which is based in psychohistory. But I'm going to explain this with the presentation. This is the interface model. The interface model I base all my activities off. It's the work of Dr. Ulrich Johnson and a lady called Patty DeRosa. And what we're actually looking at is what I call the agenda awareness. Agenda A, which is a professional, agenda B, which is personal. Now, if we're going to put in a scholastic setting for your children or yourself, agenda A becomes the academics, agenda B becomes the behavior. Being a career teacher, school teacher, then education consultant dealing with culture and culture and behavior, I many times have come across young people whose brightness on an academic level is undermined by their personal behavior. And the fact that our children in general, children of African descent, are generally being persuaded that being street smart is more important than being school smart. It's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dynamic that I've been going on for years about. I say street smart above school smart. No, you're supposed to be street smart and school smart. You're supposed to be rounded on both of those things. We should be going in and getting the education that we pay for through our taxes. So that's the kind of, it's a business. I always say to young people, when I be giving them a bollocking or something, I said, is it personal? It's business. We're here, take the word learn, take the L off, it says earn. And so every time we recite learn, we talk about earning. And so it's the same thing with the term black. Every time you say black, you're saying lack. And generally, a lot of black children move away from whatever education is being provided and don't be in there milling, be in there going to get their education by any means necessary. This year, Dame Jocelyn Barrow left us. She traveled, and she was a stalwart in trying to get the idea of achievement, no matter what, in spite of whatever. And so I personally, I'll tell you a little bit later about the context of my life. But what goes on here, you see person one or student one will come in. This happens to be an image of my son who's sat right in front of me. And he will bring with him his history and sense of cultural capital. The history is that which is external, which is known. It's what is taught. So if, like me, you went to school and were taught very, very little of African history or black history, anything which was going to be of a respectful nature, I say that we really do need to build up that sense of self and sense of external knowledge about ourselves as a people. Sorry, I've just done something stupid. I was trying to take something off the page, and I have reduced this again. Stop screen, go like this. And so I go to share screen again. And they said, go to, where was it I went to before?
Applications.
Share screen. And it was to go to, not to this one. I want to go to that one. Application window. I'll go to here. Hopefully I'm sharing again. Yeah, we're back in there. So there's an image of my boy. He's backed up with his history and his cultural capital. But then we bring with him the 5 C's of awareness, which are his color, which will be the first thing people will see, his culture, which is the way he does what he does, the influences are on him, etc. His class background, which will be the way the access he has to education, housing, etc., his social position, and the support that he will have, the expectations he will have in a learning environment. Then he'll have his character coming in there, his basic nature. Is he quiet? Is he withdrawn? Is he gregarious? Is he argumentative? Is he a fighter, etc.? Whatever his character is. And then finally, the context he is in. Is it the professional context or is it the personal context? Need to tell you something very quickly. One time I was doing some work with a brother called Mike Midas and a good sister. Oh, gosh. He's NHS. I'm sorry, the sister's name has just slipped me. And anyway, they asked me to come and do some work with people, black and minority ethnic people who had just fallen short of their management level within the NHS. Mike asked me to do some work. So what we did, we at Warwick University, there was one white French guy, there's about maybe 8 Asian people and maybe 12 people of African descent. What happened was, Mike, we set up a camera in a room, and then when they arrived, they came into the room. Mike asked them a question, to like, which trust do you work with? What is your role? What is your name, etc. To take them onto Agenda A, onto this Agenda A. Once they told us that basic information, we then passed to me, and I was to go on to Agenda B, the personal dynamic. And what I did, I said, good morning. I said, I gave my name. I said, I'm meeting you at London Bridge. I don't have a camera phone with me. Could you please explain, please describe who I'm looking for? The white French guy says, I'm a white Frenchman, right about 5'10", medium build, blonde hair, blah, 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 blah. The Asian people all said, I'm an Asian woman, Asian man, whatever. Out of the 12 African descent people, only one said that they were black. That was one of the sisters. She said, I'm a bubbly black woman. It's like she had to disarm herself with a characteristic which was non-threatening within the working environment. It's a bit like our good brothers, Richie Blackwood and sorry, I'm not in London a lot. You see, Eddie Nestor, etc. The good brothers who were on the giving radio shows. All of them were highly gifted comedians. So there's a kind of safety net that's put there. That's not to decry. All of them are serious brothers and sisters like Angela Marr, etc. goes on. What I'm trying to put you is, it's like a more non-threatening presence. So these people, 12 of them, only one said they were black because they were in the professional format. Does your color culture belong in the professional agenda? Obviously, with these people, at first, no. We worked for them for 2 days. We talked about the interface model, the 5 C's of awareness, of making sure that you're bringing what's called fully PC, personally confident and professionally competent. That's the only PC I deal with. So what happens is, after 2 days in the afternoon, I said, how do you feel now about your presence in the workplace, your 5 C's, being on your right agenda? And they said, yeah, we feel good about it. I said, that's good, because the first morning I said, you said, sir, a Frenchman said you were a white Frenchman. You said you were Asian. I said, but out of you all, there's only one of you said that you were black. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I said, no. Yes, we did. Roll camera. And they went, wow. And it's like that. What for your children? Because we're talking family day today. What is your psychological preparation for your children, putting them into institutions which are European-led? What role does your child's color, culture, and maybe class have in there? And then when their character kicks off and challenges, it becomes a problem. You see, I'm a teacher. Don't get things that I'm a teacher. I'm on that side of the fence. I've had to go into combat with children and parents regarding some of the behaviors that go on. And I'll be backing them off at cutting eye, kissing teeth, mutton under the breath. That's a no-go. Yeah, don't even go there. Don't think about it. But I'm applying the C of culture in my teaching. And that's what I'm doing. I'm applying my culture for the the betterment of the achievement of our children going in there. Our history should be an ongoing nurturance we have paid for. The national curriculum. If a school says to you that their school can't teach Black history because of the national curriculum, that is a lie. You are being misled. The only reason you're being misled is because you don't know. And so that's why you need to be getting into the national curriculum and what it does say. So it's about teaching the skills of history, not about teaching historical data. And so one of the things that one of the things that's actually said with history is that it should be giving us an insight into the data and factual things about people's and cultures and incidents from the past. So what I'm trying to say to you is this. There's a sense of status that your child will have, that you will have, even when you're going into the school. Because if you had a bad time in school, you're going to repeat that, your state of not knowing, the sense of having a clash with teachers or whatever, the state of, oh, well, it wasn't fair. Teacher, I failed in school or whatever. You got to get over that. You got to get over it. You got to go to school with your child. And please, I'm saying seriously, I always love reciting this one. Pablo Gad, Hard Times. Was it when I was a youth? I used to live a 9 mile. My mama sent me shop a fico back of liver oil. I make a mistake by coconut oil. She went to kill me in a hard time style. That's a going and getting coconut oil instead of cod liver. You got a licking for it. How many times have your children come back from school having learned nothing? Except how to be avoiding information or whatever. I hope you know about the DSG, by the way, for your children when you're going to school. The DSG is a designated school grant. Please find out how much your child is worth to that school. And usually you'll find it, if you're in London, it's usually around about £7,500 to £8,500 per head per year. That pulls it down that every time that bell rings, the bell rings to each of the lessons. That's around about £6 to £7 per lesson per day. And so what happens is the children shouldn't be hearing the bell ring. They should be in ching, 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 cash money. Oh, that's what you should be hearing. And they should be going in and getting what that you have paid for and they have paid for in taxes. Yesterday I was walking in Hume by Moss Side in Manchester with my son. There was ironically a guy sitting on the edge of a wall 3 stories up. And my son kind of said, look dangerous. And he sort of said, oh. And I said, yeah, if he falls down, it's going to cost. And he said, well, but my son said, well, I don't know him. So what I had to break down was the structure of the national health system. That fool jumps off there, falls down, smashes down. It means that the ambulance drivers, the police who come and investigate, then the treatment from the nurses and the doctors and all the things everybody's being paid for through the national health. So I'm afraid the guy who is falling down across the road is my brother, is my sister. We are related through the national health system, through finance. So please learn, earn. What goes on when you got the designated school grant? Every single time the bell rings, it's costing maybe £7 per lesson. Yeah. So what I've actually got to say to people is get financially literate. People think school's free. It is not. And the more we know our history, the more we're aware of our cultural capital, the more we're aware of what our role and significance of our presence in that school is, the more that we'll get involved in our children's education successfully. And then those of you who wish to home educate, do so. That's what the rule says, that the child must receive an education, but do it seriously, not something that's done in protest because your child was messing around in school and then had to be took out and transferred somewhere else. No, look at some of the great people in history who have not had a chance to have an education and then get those basic skills. Check those things out. It's a serious thing I'm talking. The history, cultural capital, the sense of status is there. Because guess what? Person 2 is going to come in. They too are going to have their history and cultural capital, and they're going to bring their color, culture, class, character into the context, and they will have that sense of status too. at that interface, who's being nurtured the most in that thing you can see there? The white child or the African child? The European child or the African child? The European child all the time is in school, is being nurtured because we're in Europe. When I went, my son he was going to an excellent school 2 years ago. He's going to return there in September. All they had about Black history was a picture of a slave ship on a notice board in Black History Month. But thankfully, he's around history to get to nurture that positive sense of self. Going beyond that, there's the idea of history and lineage. History and lineage is what lies inside of us. My son sits down and looks in front of the face of a European child. He has to be confident and know that his genetic line goes all the way back to the beginning of all humanity. How do we celebrate that? We celebrate that because his Mother's Day is not just Mother's Day, the general one. His Mother's Day is his birthday. That's the day he came into being, into this life. The life started with the conception point of his life. But then he had 9 months in his mother's womb. And I always stress this to people. Chinese people in their tradition class the duration inside the mother's womb as a year. So what we have is this pull-up. So my job has been to provide information about lineage, hence the lineage timeline, which is a 9,000-year continuum only, but it's taken us way past this idea of European or white supremacy through colonization and enslavement. We're talking about not dehumanization, we're talking rehumanization. Agenda awareness, therefore, I repeat, agenda awareness, professional and personal or academic and behavior. But there's another level, is agenda C. And agenda C is healing. We have been through a 400-year trauma, a 400-year trauma which needs to be healed. And so therefore, what I'm putting to you, having the clarity of healing, not repeating the damage that's been done through enslavement and colonization, getting onto the healing level is vital to us all. That's to the perpetrators and the victims. And please remember, 400 years of it is 1,400 years if we include the Arab and Turkish enslavement of Africans, which was going on. And also we need to consider the Arab and Turkish, the Moorish enslavement of Europeans, which was happening as well in the time in the times of the 1300s through to the 1700s. Hence the song Rule Britannia, Britons never, never shall be slaves, because they're talking about the time that they were enslaved during that period. So that's another thing to look into. So this idea of that Europe's always been running things and always been in, no, sir, please start to get some accurate history and look into what some of the peoples of color have done, which have been erroneous. But we need to keep it right there. Like I said, become fully PC, professionally competent, personally confident. And remember, confident, as Marcus Messiah Garvey said, that if you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race that is life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. And the term confidence or confidence is based on the word fidelity, fidelius, meaning truth. And truth is another word, is one of the aspects of ma'at. So please, all around, I always remember, and this is a thing, I did put together a conference in 1997, a brother called Hunter Adams. I gave this wonderful title. I gave this really beautiful title, fantastic title, like something like Heru rises from the dawn times or something like that. Then he's going to talk on that. So when he stood up to do his presentation, he said, Brother Paul's giving me this title, but what I'm going to do is talk about Ma'at, because Ma'at is all there is. And I smiled. I walked out the lecture theatre because I was on business footing. And then, let him get on with it, because that's the truth. On this level here, we're talking about becoming rehumanized. Please try this. I'm telling everybody this. Write the word dehumanization on either in your phone or on a notebook, whatever. And you'll find you can write dehumanization. It will come up. It goes, okay. Then write the word rehumanization, and you'll get the red underlined, because it don't exist. Because they want to keep, I'm saying certain people with mischief want to keep people in a state of dehumanized mindset, etc. And let me say this to you as well. I've worked with many, many difficult people in the prison estate over the last 31 years. I know, for instance, certain abusers love to have the abuse. They love to have it described. They love to go through it again. And so that it's like reliving their power that they had over the person they were abusing. When we keep going on and on and on about Black Lives Matter, when that's going on, and then we're looking at enslavement and colonization, and we're not going back before all of this mess, well, we're not tabling all the stuff that's been going on. It means we're being reminded. All we've had is a 3-month reminder after 5 months of fear that we've been given. 5 months of fear of coronavirus, 5 months of fear of COVID-19, 5 months of fear of all those. And those who've lost family during that period, my heart goes out to you, of course. But what I'm saying is there's a game being played. 600,000 deaths are recorded every year in the UK. 600,000. The Welsh alone, not NHS, prepare for 28,000 deaths per year through flu. We're not saying coronavirus don't exist. I'm not saying that the COVID-19 don't exist. What I'm saying is be careful, because we're getting played. Check your diet for heart attacks. Check all the stress that we're under. That's why I love Dr. Naim Akbar when he says the judgment scene of Ma'at is an IQ test for Africans. Check the stress we're under. Stress alone reduces your resistance to disease. So please check all of these things out. Check them. Get on this tip of the rehumanization. Please, I beg you. Life cycle, the life cycle context. What we see here on the golden side here, this is what we call the spiritual realm. Then across into the green is the material realm. This is called evolving consciousness. Throughout our lives, we've been evolving ourselves. We learn more. But like you say, as we learn more, we can learn good stuff that makes us feel good, or bad stuff that makes us feel bad. But like any addiction, we can be addicted to bad foods, bad drink, bad sexual practices, bad driving, bad lifestyle choices. So this format I did back in around 1993. And what we've got here, it says Irondu, which is an Igbo name. It says Plan for Life. Pierre de Teilhard de Chardin, he said, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Spiritual beings having a human experience, i.e., we come from this realm here in the gold, and we come into the green, and we travel through the green, and then eventually we're going to be returning to the gold. That's if you have that belief system with you. Here's parental intention. What does this word say? Who said recreation and who said recreation? Was the child who was conceived, was it conceived through a plan to have a child and become a parent, or was it you doing the hoochie-wally and got caught out? Recreation, hoochie-wally. Recreation, planned. So here we have conception, pregnancy, the period I talked about before, classed by the Chinese as a year. Then we have the birth. And then we go through here to childhood. The childhood is supposed to finish around 12 to 13 years old. The formative period. I was truly blessed because the final half of my son's formative period, I was able to be with him every day when we were down in Brazil. Every day. 10 days away when I was up with Browder in DC. So every day I was with him. One of the best times of my life. And so I was blessed for that. Return back, his puberty and adolescence preparation. Then we go here to age 13, where we get this idea that we can now reproduce ourselves right across the board. Some children, of course, eat enough chicken, you'll go through puberty early. Yeah? And so my own son went through from 9 years old through to 10. and so he's here now. Then we have to teach about self-governance and social literacy. Sometimes that can be about freedom from parental conditions and scenarios. So in the adulthood preparation, we go through here through to 25 years old to get the status of junior adulthood, then to senior adulthood at 37, to 49, junior eldership, 61, which is where I'm at now, which is senior eldership. So I'm having to prepare myself for this journey now. Thankfully, I'm being confronted with all kinds of stuff, which is going to help me to get through to wise eldership. And then we're talking, if we live this long, healthy life that hopefully we're going to have, that eventually we know that all we're certain of is death and taxes. Well, we're certain of is death. We cross back into the boundary of the spirit. And then in some cases, we believe that we reincarnate and come back. Some of these old souls that are coming through now that we call babies, that seem to just know stuff. It's very, very interesting to me, because we need to catch up with some of our traditional moves, like Baba Tunde, Baba, Father, Tunde, reincarnated, Baba Tunde. So the idea of reincarnation. We must remember reincarnation was actually stopped by Theodorus, the wife of Emperor Constantine? Somebody that to remind me of that, Constantine, I think it is. And she was the person who stopped the teaching of reincarnation through the Christian church, the one that came through and started to dominate. Got to say this one as well. That remember that John the Baptist was a reincarnation of Elijah. So they did teach this kind of stuff. But we really need to get rid of this idea of fear. We need to get rid of that. This is the only time you've got. And so therefore, you'd be frightened of losing it. We've got to be responsible for it, but we can't be frightened of it. Next part here, Evolving Consciousness Story. Wednesday, April 3rd, 1963. I asked you to go and look at Birmingham, Alabama, because that was the time that the Birmingham uprisings took place over there. But Wednesday, April 3rd, 1963 was my first day in school. That's the day I became black. I was actually raised in a white family, officially adopted. But then my first day in school, my first break time, I was threatened to be stabbed by a Scottish boy. He said, "I'll stab you with my penknife, you black bastard." And so therefore I was going, black bastard. I knew what a penknife was. I knew what a petty knife was, but a knife was, but I didn't know the black bastard thing. I wasn't too clear on. When I went home, my mom said that I was half English and half African. She said that I was golden brown, not black. She tried her best. But then half English and half African. So from that point, if you called me black, I would fight you. If you called me African, I had no problems whatsoever. But then what happened is this, is that when I met Africans from the Caribbean who were denying being African, when I was 15 years old and I started moving around and then girlfriends, etc., I could never, ever, ever understand it or accept it. Age 11, 12, my mom told me that my natural father had sent a name back for me, but unfortunately she told me that there were negative circumstances to my birth. Felt a bit like Samuel Coleridge Taylor, sorry, sister was just talking about him. I was left with my mom and the circumstances. And so it's only when I was 22, I actually asked what the name was, because I wanted to find out was a Yoruba, Hausa, or Igbo, because I learned that it wasn't just Nigerians. And so therefore I found out I was Igbo descent. So the Blessed Heart Father who acts is what the name, Blessed Benedict, Roman Catholic, of course, but Heart Father, Obinna, Heart Father, and then M.A. means to act. So this is my family, as you can see there. These are my half brothers and sisters and two foster sisters, and you see me down at the front there, little podgy guy. And so I grew up in these circumstances. Do you know something? I keep mentioning this to people, that I had a young blood turn around to me during the time a friend of mine was being attacked in the media, and he turned around and said I was too light-skinned to know what racism was, and that I had so therefore I think it was this entitlement and whatever, a light-skinned entitlement and whatever. I said I wish you could time travel back to the 1960s on the streets of Blackburn and tell the guys who were spitting on me, beating me up and everything else, that I was too light-skinned to be called a nigger and a black bastard and all that business. You I wish you could have come back. In fact, that brother could actually stand up and take the blows and go and fight the way I did, because I became a fighter. Me and a guy, Sumo Marsden, who was one of my, God rest his soul, was one of my mentors. And so, yeah, we were the fighters. We weren't the schmoozers. We weren't the comedians. Me and him were the fighters. And so we used to get into rucks. I used to get into rucks and got into the martial arts and everything else. But now I've got some little guys turning around who've been protected by race relations and got weight in numbers as well. When there were 4 of us on the streets of Blackburn in a town of 155,000. And so, and he wants to tell me I don't know about racism. Some people just got become very, very arrogant. They need to know this recent history 2 generations back. Or as I always say, I don't mind stepping out on the cobbles with him, because they want to insult me, we can fight. I still got a bit left in me. But I sooner be I'm a child of Ogun, you see. Sorry, I've got that kind of principle. But what I want to say to you is we need to have this enrichment of the recent history so we understand the context we're in now. The brother man there might just be seeing shade and that's it, but then he doesn't actually know about the certain contexts around the country where people have had to go and get into the rucks and fight really heavily. Sorry about that. My name, Igbo language from Eastern Nigeria, the meanings of the word Obi is heart, wish, home, kindred, chief, lineage, soul, spirit, mind, and the shrine house. I always stress the lineage and the mind. These are the 2 that I work a lot with, those 2 interpretations. Please bear in mind as well, if you take, this is where you guys, you cats who are from the Caribbean, in Jamaica, places, what happens is you call an Obia man a heart man. You see, can you see it there? It's there. The Obia man's called a heart man. Obia, according to Orlando Patterson in his book, The Sociology of Slavery, he was actually looking for the etymological root, the linguistic root to the term Obia in the Caribbean. So he set off to West Africa looking for words that meant witchcraft. And he spelt the word O-B-I-A, O-B-E-A-H, or O-B-I, Obi. And so what he did, because he was looking for witchcraft, he went into he closed off the wider meanings. And so eventually he went to Ghana, I believe, and he found out a word there that meant witchcraft that was aligned. And so he said it's that one. But he missed out on all of this. You can also, by looking at this, you can look at the actual attack upon the holistic being of the African. You can look at lineage. Don't say history, say lineage, because that's the external and the internal. The lineage is what's carried through the mother. And that's what we've been from the beginning of all time. No matter what you can turn around and tell me, external historical facts and whatever, lineage does not lie. And our mothers have carried that DNA right the way through. 3 questions. These are when I was doing the workshop, I asked people this: when did you become Black? What were the circumstances? How did it make you feel? I ask people to know that, because when you're teaching your children, if you're not aware of your own sentiments and feelings about the day, is what in Negrescence, the work of William Cross, the psychologist William Cross, who's mentioned as being part of the reformist school by Maulana Karenga in his book in Introduction to Black Studies. It means that you have a pre-encounter state and then an encounter state when you're dealing with race. So when did you become Black? What made you realize you were Black? I talk to people who were raised in Black countries. They didn't become Black until they contacted the white world, or they saw media or whatever. That before that, they might have been known by their national status or just as a human being. Anyway, if you want to bypass that, Carter G. Woodson, father of Black history, because when what happens is the psychological lacking that we have of our information about ourselves, our external self. It was Carter G. Woodson, this beautiful statue here. I was with Tony Browder when he showed me this in Washington, D.C. Beautiful statue. And so what happened was, this is what he said: when you control a human's thinking, you don't have to worry about their actions. You don't have to tell them not to stand here or go yonder. They will find their proper place and will stay in it. You do not have to send them to the back door. They'll go there without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, they will cut one for their special benefit. their education makes it necessary. So this is a well-known quote now. We have to keep looking at it because the dehumanization process really needs to be done. So history becomes a fantastic tool for removing that whole that lack in black, as I call it, the lack in black. Look at the word white, and if you say "are we white," the word "we," are we white? Remove the word white, we, from white, and it left you with the three central letters that say hit. And if you lack a defense, you're going to get knocked unconscious. And as Marcus Garvey said, the aim of his UNIA was to make the African world conscious, or I might say the African world conscious. That's what I call world citizenship. It's something I put on the timeline. This is from 1933, the book Introduction to Black, not Introduction to Black Studies, sorry. Oh my gosh, I've just gone blank. Sorry, I've got other things on my mind. It's Carter G. Woodson's, someone will fill it in. I'll find it in a minute. Van Sertima, late great Van Sertima. Let no one say, well, you're looking back to the architecture, ships, and the metallurgy and achievements of the old world. Surely these things happened thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. No, no, no. This is a universe, space-time continuum. What happened 10,000 years ago and 10 minutes ago have the same relevance as they occupy the same space and time in consciousness. Nobody who thinks that the oldest traceable ancestor they can point to was a slave, nobody who thinks that can be anything but a sick man or woman. This is from a speech he did for Dr. Amun Sabasakana in North London in the early 1980s. Fantastic speech. It's online. The speech is online. So have a look for the whole dynamic. I believe it was They Came Before Columbus, which was his seminal work. Need for Black History. And this is where I'll be finishing. This, once again, Black History Month becomes Black History Month. Black History Month becomes Black History Month. Now, let me see this. We have been conditioned with Christianity, the Judeo-Christianic faith. That as an alternative to that, some people go to Islam, al-Islam. Both of those faiths have been used to condition our minds to be non-threatening towards those who are dominating us, i.e. Arabs, Turks, and Europeans. So you have to please consider the political element of the faith, not just the belief in the faith. Hebrew itself has no word for history. Let me say again, Hebrew has no word for history. Sorry, Hebrew has no word for history. It says here, the term zakar means memory. Active and experiential, it also means to think, mention, and record results from purposeful action. A lack of history is a form of amnesia, right? So all the drive to resurrect the African identity, the self-pride, the healing, the rehumanizing elements, and many people have served that. They served that process. Like I took Marcus Garvey's picture down from above my shrine one day, not out of disrespect, but Garvey, as Sister was saying before, he died in very poor circumstances in London, having been hounded. No one can doubt Garvey's legacy, but I don't want to make those mistakes. I want to stand on his shoulder. Who would I put there? Malcolm X, one of my favorites? Hell no, right? Malcolm got took out. So what can I do? So what I did, I put the image, the symbol of Khepra on there. The symbol of Khepra that represents resurrection. The ongoing process that millions of Africans, from small part to big part, not kings and queens, but people who are just doing their everyday life, putting food on the table, working God knows how many hours, doing the best for their family. And doing the best for your family is a piece of activism which has to be acknowledged. But if we start looking for just these individuals and bypass their mistakes, that's a mistake. So the principle of Khepra, the dung beetle, the symbol of resurrection, to me is vital. To overcome amnesia, forgetfulness, it says here, loss of memory due to brain injury, shock, fatigue, repression, or illness, or 2, a gap in one's memory, or 3, the selective overlook or ignore of events or acts that are not favorable or useful to one's purpose or position. I'm putting to you, lineage is part of Kepra. It's an acknowledgement of our mother principle, that which lies within us naturally, our mitochondrial DNA. It is key to rehumanization. And I ask you, those of you who are there with your families, those of you there with your friends, please get the idea that we need to have the healing done. And it is vital. I apologize, I've gone 45 seconds over. Thanks very much.
That's okay, Paul. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. Introduction.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the next person to come on, actually, Paul. So you done beautifully with the time management. So if there is anybody who has any questions or who has any comments that they want to make, feel free. Much appreciated, brother, under the circumstances of what you're personally going through. A lot of people have sent their sentiments out to you, so big up for that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Tell me something. Let me ask a question. When you are confronted, as I know you are, with the people that want to say, you know, it's ancient history, what's the point? What's the point of talking about Kemet? What's the point of talking about pyramids and those kinds of things? What's your response?
Just awareness. It's I always mention Chuck D about awareness. Can't get careless. My beloved, let's get down to business, mental self-defensive fitness. We need to have know where we are in history, where we are in geography. It was what John Henrik Clarke said. So I remember doing a session down in Greenwich, and a brother said, Miseducation of the Negro is the book by Carter G. Woodson. I was doing a session in Greenwich, and what was funny, when I went down there, I had to make a decision. Was I going to wear a European business suit or was I going to put an African business suit on? And I decided to wear my African business suit. And many of the people down there were in actual fact from Nigeria or the West African countries. And there's a brother, oh my God, he had some threads, Monk. I like threads. He had some threads on. And he said that studying of history, it's no good. It's, whatever. And I said, I totally agree with you. Unless you know how to apply it totally in the present for your future needs. So studying history alone is no good. Absolutely no good. What are you going to do? Live in the past or whatever? But what you are going to do is look at it, apply it, understand the power of it, and how we can even if it's just for making you feel good in the current climate. Damn, and then. If you have the capability of doing those things back then, think about what you can do in the future.
Oh, most definitely.
It's a psychological. It's a psychological tool. It's psychohistory, psychology and history combined. I didn't get to that plate, but please look up the discipline of psychohistory, and then check out Dr. Amos Wilson, The Falsification of African Consciousness.
Most definitely. When it comes to moral systems, I know inherently when you look at Kemet as a society in history, you can't help but look at their moral compass and their spiritual systems. What jumps out at you? What is the first thing that you try to show people when it comes to analyzing our historical moral compass and spiritual systems?
Unity with nature, which is the first of the 5 principles highlighted by the work of Schwaller de Lubitz and popularized by Asa Hilliard, Dr. Asa G. Hilliard. Unity with nature, I always say to people laughingly, go look at the traffic light, because when you see the traffic light, it's red, green, gold, and black and white. The unity with nature, we say Amen Ra, we have the idea of the sun being the center of the universe, which is our yellow or gold. It shines down onto the 2 colors of melanin, black, and then chlorophyll, green. Our relationship there in nature is that we breathe in the oxygen from the plants and breathe out carbon dioxide, which the plants breathe in and then breathe back out the oxygen. So that's called the symbiotic cycle. Then we've got diets going straight across. We either eat the plants directly or we eat the animals that eat the plants. And so that's why different cultures give different warnings about not eating certain animals because they don't process certain enzymes, etc. Well, so what happens is, that's our second thing. What happens is the energy from that, the plant and the food, goes into our fourth color, which is blood, which is red. And so so therefore what happens is the heart pumps the blood around the body. And the heart, of course, is the symbol of the consciousness, the deep consciousness of the Kemites. And as I mentioned there in West Africa with the Obi, the heart as well. And that's what is judged in the judgment scene of Ma'at. It's not the brain, it's the heart is weighed against the feather of truth and justice. And the heart must be in balance with the feather, not lighter than. It's got to be or heavier than. It's got to be in balance with the feather. So we go on about balance, work, things like work-life balance, balanced diet, etc., etc. So that's the thing that always jumps out for me. If you're not down with African spirituality, don't breathe, because that's what spirit means. It's a basic fundamental thing like that.
That's all, most definitely. I do believe the person's coming in shortly. People, remember, if you have any questions, people are commenting and like what you're saying.
Brother Paul, I got a question. What's the state of your new edition of the timeline? Is it available now in England? Can we get it? How can we get it?
I'm still putting my because of certain things, I'm still putting my own website together. I know that Michael Manning has got copies for sale. I've got copies for sale. So if you direct for my lineage innovations at gmail.com, or my mobile phone, which is 07392 982 802. By any of these means, I've got copies right here. I've got different sized copies. I've got small A6 size that roll out. Oh, sorry, I'm talking all this. I forgot there's a camera technology.
That's it. Let's see it.
I've got the small size scroll here, and then I've got the larger size. This is A5, this is A6. That's it. And these roll out. This is about 2 meters long when you roll it out. This is going to nearly 2.5 meters, 3 meters long. Then if you get the ones that I made on vinyl, on a vinyl, hard durable versions. We go A6, A5, A4, so even bigger. And then we do ones which are as high as 1 meter tall as well. They're quite expensive. The brothers in the Netherlands who have a copy there told me the other day it's over 12 meters long. So so there are different sizes available. There are different. Then I'm actually developing the fold out these lineage timeline structure. This is like little manuals that fold out, and it gives the breakdown. It gives the breakdown of the timeline, the structure, what you're looking at there, and then on the other side here, some of the three key issues that we talk about. The bottom one's my favorite. This one's called The Flow of Ancient Knowledge, showing how basically the knowledge from Kemet went into Egypt, because I'd always differentiate these days between Kemet and Egypt.
Yeah.
The Greeks took it over. The Greeks then dropped it down into their swag house, their place of stolen goods, which is Alexandrian Library. Then they took it into Rome. The Romans accessed it. Then they went to then the Romans that got to the Arabs. The Arabs then took it into North Africa and around, and then the Moors took it into Spain. And the translation schools of the Greco-Roman text fueled the Renaissance in Europe. So basically, all this is borrowed knowledge. And what I keep smiling because in Holland they have this character called Zwarte Piet, or Black Peter, and he's a Moor. He's clearly a Moor, but the people there protest about Black Peter, saying about him, because the white people there black up black up like minstrels, and then they cavort about, fool around, and whatever. But they don't seem to. What they don't get is that they should be looking about who this character is, because they don't look at him, and they protest about slavery and enslavement and slavery and racism. So they're constantly going about slavery and racism. And like I said, it's just talking over and over and over about the power of white people over black people, not saying about this guy's actually representing the education of Europe, of Europeans, especially in Holland. And I find so. For instance, I've been one word I found out about a year ago was cordwainer. And people say, "What's a cordwainer?" I said, "Someone who makes shoes." And they said, "Thought that's a cobbler." I said, "No, that's not a cobbler. A cobbler repairs shoes. A cordwainer is a guy who makes shoes, a person who makes shoes." And it's actually named for Cordoba in Spain, where the Moorish art, the leather crafts. So today, this is just a madness. All this history is there today.
Yeah. The etymology of words.
60 years old, and I didn't know what a shoemaker was.
No, I think that's the beauty of just language and the etymology of words. When you really start to get into it, and that comes with its own history and timeline, as you're saying, and usually ties to some interesting different events. It's like the other day I was talking to somebody about the origin of the word black as far as white people are concerned.
Right.
And they tied it back to a Germanic tribe that were known for being blacksmiths, craftsmen. So again, this is with this reference of being black, because obviously they're working with fire, they're dark and they're burned, so their look was what inspired this conversation. But again, it's this etymology, because obviously we've heard of the word smithy before. So the blacksmith is added onto it, and it was just an interesting conversation, just in the sense of, again, etymology of words, the references, the connotations, historical connotations, because obviously when we're talking about white people, we're talking about a much younger race than black people. So their connotations and references for certain things, again, are going to come from things that we've long since broken down in multiple different ways. So I always find that interesting myself.
Well, when I said before about I'm a child of Ogun, which is from your people, what happened is the Ogun is like when I was down in Brazil, he was a warrior. He just always had a warrior is fighting, but of course he was fighting he always has a machete, so he's fighting a shield, so those had to be made. And what they don't tell you is that Ogun is not just the warrior, which is what is restricted to in Brazil, is also the blacksmith
one. Yep, the creative one.
That's it. So, but it's also to do with technology.
Yep.
So being a craftsman.
Iron Man.
Yeah. That's Iron Man. That's exactly where they borrowed the concept from. So that is Tony Stark. When my son's of a Shango, so he's Thor. So we, it's like if I was in the European tradition, it's Vulcan, the blacksmith. So yeah, there's all of these. I don't know, man. I just laugh because to understand those dynamics, you go and link to nature and all of these so-called gods, goddesses, and whatever, all natural phenomenon. So today's day of the sun. Tomorrow is Monday, day of the moon. Then you got the Norse god of war is Tuesday, which is why in French you say Mardi, which is Mars' day. Then you got Wednesday, Odin's day. Then Thor's day, Thursday, Thor's day. Freya's day, the goddess of marriage, and then Saturn's day, the god of agriculture, Roman god of agriculture. All these things are around all over the place, but we don't put our mind. We don't know the background to them. You don't know what. You just walk around. It's whatever.
Yeah. Well, they don't want you to participate in the natural energy forces that are flowing at all times. They want you to give off this, where you would complete the circuit I say, you know, they usually will supplant the name Jesus, Allah, some other, you know, man-made, more physical, more divine type of situation, and then that takes away from you now being and getting naturally charged from being a part of this natural cycle.
I digress. I disagree with one thing there is about Islam. Islam is highly scientific and actually does align you if you practice it. The part that I always remember there were some boys in school and there was an argument because they actually believed that men had one less rib than women, and they believe in this thing of Adam. And so I challenged them on it, and then I said to them about having respect for the female, the feminine, and I just said to them, "Do you fast the white nights?" And they said, "White nights, what are those?" I said, "Do you fast the 3 nights of the full moon?" And they said, "Oh, well, what's that? We don't know about that." And I said, "Aha!" And then about 5 minutes after the end of the session, the maths teacher, Mr. Hamza, came down, and Mr. Emmett, you were talking to them about the white nights, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's part of Islam, yeah." Yes. Well, we generally don't have to fast that. We fast it so they stick with the sun cycle.
Right.
He said the Prophet's people are going. He did it, but we did. So it's the science behind it is absolutely. In actual fact, I was told, I have to dig out the source. I was told that in private, many business people in the USA practice Islam as in praying 5 times a day. That 5 times a day discipline in the track of the sun. So it's yeah. So I can't say Christianity. Well, they supplanted Christmas Day on the first day after the solstice in December. So the sun, SUN, was reborn. Easter's got nothing to do with the crucifixion and resurrection. That was also supplanted on the day because it's named for goddess Oestra, a German fertility goddess, and that's all about the female. Hence the Easter egg. Women have the eggs, men don't. So the all the way through that is, you know, displacements and adding on and whatever.
Misnomers. Yeah.
So, you know, look to the. I don't look for the. I look for the similarities, not for the differences, and through that try to understand. Like I said, becoming a world citizen means that we all have to get together. Oh, let me just drop this. My book of Dom is getting thicker and thicker. Like I said, I didn't know what a shoemaker was. For instance, I was watching Enter the Dragon, a film I've been watching around about 42 years. I was watching it with my son, and every time it comes on TV, I watch it. But on this particular occasion, I'm watching Bruce Lee go into the boat, and he was being paddled by Ip Man, his teacher. Yeah. And I was like, what? I said, that's Ip Man. So I've been watching that and never saw it for how many years? And so when I get into things like this, I'm open to learn, you know, because you find you got something totally wrong, and I'll just go like, I don't know, but if I go like this is a symbol of spirit, the car. That's so. That's a symbol that I'm open to embrace and connect with. If I'm like this, unfortunately, those who like doing that's your symbol of the Assyrian position, where the heart is closed here. I don't know. Find out.
That's it. You will not be open to the suggestion.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. So my book of dumb's getting thicker all the time because I know some real dumb shit. Sorry, I know some real dumb shit.
No. Listen, the truth of it is there's so many subtle nuances in life and in culture, and again, because one culture's flowing into the next, and you know, different cultures are stealing from our original position and whatever. There's always things I think you can go back and look at, even, you know, it within other people's cultures, and notice, even after watching something over and over again, a new subtle nuance to how something is connected, how they've used one person to the next. You know what I'm saying? I think that is the beauty of learning, and that's where it's a continuous cycle and journey where you can continually go back as well as move forward and read and take in new things, but you can forever go back and find new bits that you may have not noticed to just not have known outright. I wanted to ask you one last question as well. What's your definition of spirituality? Because you kind of mentioned it quickly earlier. You did allude to it, but I want you to just double down. When you hear somebody say black people need spirituality, to you, what does that mean?
I find that really funny because you can't not have it. This is because if you take that the word spirit or breath means breath, and it's about spirit is about connectivity. If you want to see if you want to see a good example of spirit, watch the Chicago Bulls team. You know, when they were mashing things up in the 1990s, because it's that was team spirit. One of the greatest pieces of spirit I've seen was I think it was one of the first I acknowledged was 1970 Brazil side in the final against Italy when they won 4-1. And it was the final goal scored by the captain, Carlos Alberto. And I always remember to this day, I was 11 years old, and I watched Pele receive the ball after one of the fullbacks had dribbled the ball all around the place, and the ball was knocked into Jairzinho. Jair knocked the ball over to Pele, I think it was. And then Pele just kicked the ball to the side. And in the split second, he said, "What's he done that for?" Giddy bum. And it went into the corner. Carlos Alberto, perfectly in his pass, perfectly weighted, nonchalant, knocked to the side. When you've got good spirit, you sometimes don't have to talk. You just know what's going on because you're connected with that person. It's like you're breathing with them. And that's what, you know, the practices that have that. For instance, I was chasing Tony Browder down for, he said that Asa Hilliard had told him that, you know, in Kemet, the same word for front is the same word for south, the same word for back is the same word for north, for left hand is east and the right hand is west. So I was wanting that information from him for, oh God, I've been chasing it for years. And then I woke up one morning, maybe 5 weeks ago, and I woke up, went online. There's a brother done a beautiful breakdown of it with all the terms, with the meta nature, and what happened was I just said I've got to change my shrine because my shrine was facing east, and I was thinking to myself, you know something, if I'm going to orientate with this thing properly, I need to orientate the way that the Kemites did in the ancient times that we had. So that was a new kind of pickup, a new beginning.
Greetings, Charmaine.
How you doing, Charmaine? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's all. Listen, before we bring you in, Charmaine, Paul, it's been a pleasure having you on. It's been a pleasure building with you. As always, enjoying the information. I know the people in the chat have been enjoying it. If you haven't hit the like button already, go ahead and hit it. If you don't know why we're doing all of this Black history, it is for the Dr. Llaila Afrika Rites of Passage International Youth Exchange Program. This is not a one-time trip. This is an institution that we're trying to initiate an ongoing program for our young people to get rites of passage, to understand what it is to be young Black women and men as they go into adultcy. Big up to you, Paul, again for the presentation. Rick's just playing a quick ad, and then we'll
Okay then, sir. See you later. Charmaine, have a good one.
Thank you. Take care, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
So my leaders ass gone, all my leaders ass gone. I know they did you so wrong and still standing here strong. Against all the wrongs, for my leaders ass gone. All my leaders ass gone. I know they did you so wrong, I'm still standing here strong. Against all the wrongs.
Ransom got that sauce in it.
Brothers and my sisters, this is Brother Minister. Tune in to Black Eyes TV for the realest talk on violence, for the liberation of our people.
This is Black Eyes TV 7. The last obelisk, my mission is complete.
Yeah, so take care of yourself.
Yeah, the people, you see it, we're gonna see each other soon.
Yes.